Hi everyone. See, I'm back to back for the first time in a long time, right? Anyway, so we are doing our keto coffee, or I'm sorry, I'm doing keto tea right now. I've been on this whole keto tea. I actually like the taste of it. Um, and working from home, I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm working way more than, ooh, no, I hate when I spill. I feel like I'm working way more, that reminds, um, than what I used to work. And that's just like highly unfortunate. But I am blessed. I cannot complain. Oh God, I keep spilling. I cannot complain about working more. Um, and let me tell you, after all these years of teaching, I've had really good deans, and I've had a few deans, but usually you kind of have to get to know them before they treat you like super nice. And so I was really kind of stunned this semester. Something happened to me. It's my first, I'm a recent hire at this one school, and I got a call talking about because I was evaluated, and I must have done something well in my evaluation because they evaluate your online class, and what that means is they have to kind of go through your online class to see like how there's all these different measures, and what they really are looking for is how you're doing faculty to student contact and how you're encouraging student to student contact. And something's happening because I received an email, and the dean told me that she said, "How many classes would you like in the fall? And here are your three options of the type of classes you can teach. Pick whichever one you want to do. We'll give it to you." I have never. Usually, I'm the one who's asking for, especially since I'm a new hire and I have no seniority. I'm the one who's walking around here begging for a class, has to contact them and be like, "Do I get a class? Can I have a class? Please have a class." You know, I didn't have to do that this time. And I was just like, praise the Lord. So trust and believe. I am not complaining for work. For not, I mean, you will hear me complain about not having a full time job. I did apply for this full time administrator job, and I'm hoping that um, I get it. I'm qualified, and it's kind of interesting how the job announcement flew. You only had a week to apply, so I actually applied for a couple of them, and all of them are temporary hires, and I'm curious to see how many people even applied. Mm. It's my new cup from Barnes and Noble. Um, I am curious to see how many applied. Hopefully, I'll have good news for you. Because since it's a temporary admin job, I'm still going to be able to teach. So that means I'm going to be even more crazy than what I am now, but blessed and highly favored. In all of my blessings and in all of my prayer, I still came across, today I had, and I think I got, today I was really busy. I had a book club, and it's called Me and White Supremacy. I put a brief book review on it. I wasn't going to talk about it. And um, Layla and Saad, and Layla Saad, I think is her name. She is, um, not American, but and I think that's important with the story because she's never lived in America. She is in Europe. She's particularly has in some parts in some time in her life she lived in England, and she is most of her adult life is in Qatar. And so her positionality is a very unique one. And I think that one of the failures of the book is that it made me really think about when it comes to there's white supremacy is global, but it did make me think about how every country has their own history. And so sometimes having to read a book from another culture's perspective of white supremacy is really, really useful. I'm not sure, I know for a fact, I think this book was the wrong book for a book club. And I kind of spoke up about it. It's the last week for the book club, and I'm not, there's an optional book club meeting, and I'm not going to that. And I did happen to say it because I think what the problem that I have with the book, I've been to 3 out of the 4 book club meetings, and I think the problem that I had with the book club meeting, the first time I was like, I'm not sure if I should be here, and it's because the very first pages is she reiterates how this is a book that is a book of reflection for white people, and it's like almost like a work through book. And I'm trying, and I was like, well, I'm not white, so how does this work? And I went anyway, and it was a good discussion. I did get something out of it. The second time, it was okay. I missed the third one because I was just mentally checked out. The fourth one, I was like, dude. And the reason why I had that expression is because the question was evaluate your white leadership role or evaluate white leadership on your campus. And it's like, you picked a book. And I think the question was a trigger for me. So I did say, hey, I can't answer this question. And they're like, well, why not? I'm not white. And there's another black lady who is much fairer than me. I would so it's easy that she could pass for white. Um yeah. The problem that I have, and I think the reason why this was a trigger, and then also in the small group, breakout group, it was also even more of a trigger when when a woman kept saying, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know this. I didn't know of blacks not being included in the suffrage movement, and I didn't realize that white women were putting down black men and in order for the right to vote." And it's like, oh my gosh, this is basic, very, very basic information. So I paused, and so when we got back to the general group, I was just like, you know what? Here's my problem with this book. I didn't like this book in the first place. And I was like, this prompt that you wrote is very exclusionary. And then they were just like, I can't understand why it would be. And I said, you know, the problem that is when you pick a book like this that specifically states this is a book for white people, then what you did was you made the statement that there are no black people, that there's no body of color. And so essentially, and if which there aren't, right, in the full-time space in this department there's one who just got hired, who's black, who's a Latino. There are no full-time black people in the department. I said, so what you have concluded is that the people of color in this department don't matter. That's what you've concluded. They don't matter. They have no power. And they have no voice. Because you picked out a book that was ironed out to be exclusion, that excluded them from the conversation. And then when you talk about, when you ask the question, it was salt on top of the wound of saying that they didn't matter because you picked a book specifically that ignored them. And then you put a question that was like in positionality, in the sense of the diverse people, the people of color, are mostly adjuncts. Adjuncts on this campus and like other campus, unique about this campus is that even if they have seniority, their seniority is challenged because the dean has the capability of trumping their seniority and giving them nothing. So how can a person of color who happens to be an adjunct question white leadership on this campus when they have no power at all? And the question that you asked is making an assumption that we have the position to absolutely say something and to be a force on this campus without losing our job. It made people uncomfortable. And I told them, I said, one of the other one of the problems that I actually had overwhelmingly about this was it was it was just it to me, it was just really frustrating to watch, to listen, to be in the whole thing. But I think it was, I wasn't trying to be offensive, but I did tell him, I was like, look, I'm here because I like you all, but these conversations are very, very offensive. And it's mainly because you picked a book that excluded us from the OnStart. I'm not trying to be a bum people out, because I actually do have some recommendations today. Sugar face polish. Don't say that twice, right? Sugar face polish. And when you open it up, ooh, no, didn't get on my hand. It did. Ugh. It looks like this. Such good stuff. And it smells citrusy. So again, if you have sensitive skin, this is probably not the best thing for you. And it's a fresh product. Fresh is giving away a gift that is just beyond gift. You can use everything in the gifts. So I'm actually handing out the gifts for Christmas because I'm getting so many of the gifts. I just buy in little sections. Like, I won't buy all at once. I'll just buy individual pieces so then I can get the gifts, so then I can give the gifts out with, yeah, I know I'm being really, really ridiculous. I tried the body sugar and I really, really like it. I'm trying to hold it up as much because I just don't want it to leak out. Yeah, it's about to leak out. So it's gritty. I like it. If you don't want to pay the price for it, because this is a little pricey, Bath and Body Works has one. They have a really nice body buffering sugar. After you use that plus body wash, you don't need lotion. And if you do, I mean, you can just use body oil or something, but you really don't, because it really sucks in moisture quite a bit. I have a few things left to talk about. I listened to Marcel, Miss Dr. Heavenly and Marcel, is it Martell? Martell did an interview last night or a couple days ago. And it was Wednesday. I have to tell you that I was so offended. So offended. And here's the thing about Martell. And this is from Love in Huntsville or something. This man has been in a whole relationship for 5 years with the mistress. 5 years with the mistress. And he blames it on his wife for having this 5-year relationship with another woman, saying if she would have had sex with me more then. And, you know, I've been cheated on. And he used the same excuse as Martell. And I've concluded there's never enough sex. There's never enough to make somebody stay home. And so even though Martell wants to say, no, if she still would do this, and this, then I would have never done anything. I don't believe him. I don't believe him. Because if you are in a whole relationship for 5 years for somebody else who's had multiple pregnancies and abortions and is possibly pregnant now, then you are devoting a lot of energy that you have to keep that up. Women who are going to be around for 5 years are not just having sex. There's a whole relationship. There's some energy that you're going to be putting towards this person. And there's no way that you can be in a happy marriage if you're putting that much energy, even if it's minimal energy. This is not just hookups. This is a whole relationship for 5 years. You putting that kind of energy out, you can't be in a relationship. You can't be married. You can't be in a happy marriage. You're just in a roommate. You just roommates taking care of kids. Okay, and you may occasionally hook up with your wife on occasion. There's no marriage. There's no relationship. And that's what Heavenly was trying to point out, even though Heavenly can be, I'm not a big fan of Heavenly at all. But Heavenly was trying to point that out, like, dude, what are you doing? That's what she's trying to say. What are you doing? And she's like, I would never want to be with you. But here's another thing too. He is a Kappa. And he is a Kappa who has never graduated in the mindset beyond college. Because that's how Kappas are when you're in college. Grow up, Martell. Grow up. Grow up. And, maybe he just doesn't need to be married. I mean, and I think that's a fair statement. Be single. Like, live your truth. And I think that's what people want people to do, is to live your truth. And your truth is, I prefer to be single. Right? Finally, I think that's actually, Tamar. Okay, so I listened to Tamar. She interviewed with, gosh, I can't think of the girl's name of the show. She's on the OWN channel now, Tamra, or something like that. And I know I'm supposed to feel something. I know I'm supposed to feel something, but I don't. Like, I don't mean to be rude, and I don't want somebody to commit suicide and all, but it's hard to feel something for a person who is so self-consuming, and if you're working on your relationship, you're working on talking about I need to heal and da-da-da, and you're so not going to do reality TV, blah, 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 why are you doing an interview? Why are you on a daytime talk show? To promote your podcast. Okay. Well, I mean, then let's call a spade a spade. And that's the problem that I have with Tamar. It's like, keep it real. You're not keeping it real. And when you say, I'm keeping it 100, I'm keeping it real, I don't want any fake and blah, blah, blah. Stop it. You have developed to a persona and you have no idea who you are because you need to focus on, like, who are you? Who are you, Tamar? Like, how about we do a deep dive, not get in front of the cameras, not do anything like that. Just a deep dive. Who am I? Where am I? Because, I mean, I think that would be useful. I think that'll be useful for a self-reflection period. And I would love to see. I don't need to see it because I'm not Tamar. I think you need to see it. The public doesn't need to see it. That's not our story. Right now, you're letting everybody into your story and you're upset that everybody knows and is remarking on your story. That's because you let us in and you keep letting us in. You know why? Because you keep getting on camera. You keep doing interviews. You keep doing everything that's letting us all in. Don't let us in. Do the work for you and your son. And on that note, I'll see you next week.